Today on AGetc, Kyle Bauer visits with Jake Leguee about his farming operation in Canada. Then he visits with Dr. Suzanne Nielsen with Purdue University about her food storage project. Next, Curt Pate demonstrates how to move cattle as a team. Then get some horse handling tricks and tips from Cowboy Logic's Lee Hart. And we'll end with K-State Swine Specialist Bob Goodband talking about how phase feeding strategy and grow-finish diets have changed. Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. Watch Ag AM in Kansas online at agaminkansas.com. This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
Hi, this is Kyle Bauer visiting with Jake Leguee. He is a farmer in Saskatchewan, Canada, about 100 miles north of Minot. Is that right?
I think it'd be something like that, yeah, maybe a little farther.
Would you tell me about your crop mix and about your farm?
So we grow a pretty good variety of crops. We grow canola, spring and winter wheat, durum, lentils, peas, occasionally flax and soybeans as well.
Of course, it's plains agriculture, very similar to what we have in Kansas, but you plant everything in the spring?
The only crop we plant in the fall would be winter wheat. We do that mainly to spread the workload out. Yields in winter wheat can be a little better than spring wheat usually, depending on the year, and it changes up our herbicide platform a little bit so that we don't have to use that grassy herbicide in the spring on the winter wheat.
You mind if I ask approximate acres on the different crops?
Well, we got about 12 to 13,000 acres, depending on the year, on how many low spots there are. About a third of that will be canola. Another third of that will be cereals, and the other third is pulses usually, which would include soybeans in the pulse acres.
And do all those harvest more or less at different times?
Yeah, our harvest will basically, like in this past year, we started on the 27th of July, and we've just finished here a little over 2 weeks ago. And that's a fairly standard harvest. Sometimes we'll start close to the beginning of September, and sometimes we'll start at the end of July. It just really depends on the type of year we get.
Now, do you harvest that yourself, or do you have custom folks that help harvest that?
We harvest all of that ourselves. Occasionally we'll get some custom work in, as we did in 2016, to just help with the workload. But we do 90% of the harvesting ourselves.
I'm curious, in your area, it's a lot like the plains in that actually probably more remote than it is in much of our listening area. Do you store most of that at home, or do you haul that a distance to a terminal?
Well, we'll store most of it at home off the combines, but actually we have a lot of delivery points. The city we're closest to, Weyburn, is actually a very large inland grain gathering point. There's 3 big concrete elevators there, and it's only a 25-minute drive. So we got lots of options, and there's lots of pulse crop buyers around too. So there's no shortage of places to go with our grain.
Do you have full-time employees?
Yeah, we have 2 full-time employees along with myself, my dad, my older sister.
And is that area, is there custom farming that's involved as well as far as for spraying, or do you do pretty much all the operations yourself?
We do pretty much everything on our own. We'll get some custom work done when it comes to fertilizer spreading or something that we don't actually have the equipment for. But we do, virtually everything on our own farm.
Visiting with Jake Leguee. He is a farmer from Saskatchewan, Canada. This is Kyle Bauer reporting. Back to you, Jamie.
Watch Ag AM in Kansas online at agaminkansas.com. Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop liquid crop nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information.
Hello friends, I'm Ernie Rodina.
And I'm Dawn Dawson with the Better Horses Radio Show.
For over 9 years, we've been bringing the Better Horses Radio Show to markets all across the Midwest. We talk about God, lots about horses.
We talk about cows, we talk about horse health, we talk to top trainers, and we even talk about Roy Rogers.
We are having a blast with Better Horses Radio Show and would love to take it to a market near you.
So visit our website at betterhorsesradio.com and let us or your local radio station know you'd like to hear it in your area.
The Better Horses Radio Show is unbelievable.
Tallgrass Commodities offers producers bulk commodities at a reasonable price with reliable service throughout the whole Midwest. To find out more about Tallgrass Commodities, visit tallgrass.us or call 785-494-8484.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Wheat. Learn more at rediscoverwheat.org.
Hi, this is Kyle Bauer. I have Dr. Suzanne Nielsen from Purdue. We're visiting today about her project that they're working on at Purdue, and really a number of land-grant colleges work on this, storage of food in developing countries. Besides Purdue, there's other land-grant colleges that work on this as well.
Yes, Purdue, Illinois, Kansas State, Iowa probably do the majority of the work in the area of cereal grain drying, storage, processing.
Most of what we take for granted in this country on knowing how to do it and having the bins and that sort of thing, in developing countries that's not the case, and they lose a lot of nutrition that's available for their people because of it.
That's right, exactly, and we're really losing the resources then that went into growing all those crops. Many times the number that's used is about a third of everything that's produced is lost. That's kind of an average. For cereal grains, probably a bit less. For fruits and vegetables, it's even much higher than that.
So what does your what areas does your program work on the most?
Our particular area is with a USAID funded project. We were asked to focus on drying, storage, processing, and nutrition of the cereal grains of sorghum and millet and maize in Kenya and Senegal. That's the particular focus of our project.
But you have to work with technology that's available to those folks or adaptable to them, not probably the technology we would think of in this country.
That's right. We have to consider the end user and what's feasible for them, especially what are the needs of smallholder farmers. In the case of especially the drying and the storage, what can they afford? What can they utilize? And then on the processing and nutrition, the same is true. What facilities are available? What is electricity available? What are the tools that they can use? What scale do we need?
As I looked at your table, you appear to do processing as well.
Yes, we focus on processing because we want to add value to the crops. People don't just eat corn, they eat corn-based products. They don't just eat sorghum, they eat sorghum-based products, maybe for a porridge, but we need to do some processing of those products. And while we're doing the processing, if we can enhance the nutritional quality of the products, perhaps with some local plant materials, we focus a lot on looking for plant materials that are high in certain minerals like iron and zinc, and also high in vitamin A, because these are the nutrients that are most lacking. We've done produced some products with fairly simple processing techniques that really enhance the nutritional value for people.
We're visiting with Dr. Suzanne Nielsen. She's with Purdue University. This is Kyle Bauer reporting.
Earlier in my life, I rode bucking horses in rodeos, and my shoulders took such a beating, and that was probably the reason for having several previous surgeries on both shoulders. About a year ago, I decided that I didn't want to have another surgery, and so I contacted Kansas Regenerative Medicine, took their treatment process. It was relatively pain-free. Now, after 8 months, my shoulders have healed to the point where I think I'm probably 90 to 95% of normal. It takes a couple of months to start to see results and feel real progress. That continued to increase gradually until now at approximately 8 months. And I'm extremely pleased. I've got full range of motion. I can lift weights, I can throw, I can do a lot of things that I couldn't do without a lot of pain previously. So I'm tickled to death with the results, and I'd recommend this process to anyone.
As fourth-generation farmers themselves, Heinen Brothers Ag Service understands the risk and rewards of farming. So when it comes to quality aerial and ground application, fertilizer, ag chemicals, and anhydrous ammonia, call Heinen Brothers Ag today, 800-760-4964.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
This segment brought to you by Sure Crop, liquid crop nutrition delivered right to your farm.
All right, here we go. Now the cattle tell me which way to go here. So they pointed me to go to their right, my left, and I have to position myself right at about a 45-degree angle till I see some of them starting to quit circling and start heading up the fence line. So I had to get quite a ways back with this bunch. Now they should know how to go out the gate. They know where the gate is, so I don't have to worry about getting so far forward. And I'll just try to get everybody in a line. As soon as they all turn and look the same direction, you'll see that now it doesn't take hardly anything to get them to go. Even though there's some distractions, when cattle all point the same direction, you keep them pointed the same directions, and it actually creates a flow of its own. All I got to do is keep sending cattle to that leader. So I'll make sure not turn her back, and I'll just keep sending cattle to the lead. And if you send them to the lead real soft and easy, it just kind of, I call it dominoing their way out. And then they don't get that big rush out of the gate. You'll see this heifer kind of bump one. As they bump, it starts them forward. Now, as soon as they start through that gate, pretty soon they're going to quit thinking about me, and they're going to think about what's out in front of them. And I'll be careful not to knock a hip or anything here. I was real easy with my pressure. And now we're gonna transition, and now these guys are going to take a hold of them, and they're going to send them right back to me. So now we'll transition from my pressure to their pressure. And what I'm going to try to do is I'm just going to try to be in a spot where I can point these cattle's nose by my position to the gate. I've got a crew here. Now we're working with multi pressures. So I can't do too much up here, or else I'll create them. They won't even listen to the pressure behind them. So all I do is step out, and now all I'm trying to do is get my leaders to looking back in the gate. So I've got to position myself far enough forward where all I do is keep the flow going into the gate, and the folks at the back, they just keep that flow and that pressure going right through the gate. So I had to do very little there. Nobody had to do very much because the cattle know how to work and want to flow. What we're going to show now is bringing cattle out of a corral and putting them on water and feed. So now these cattle, they're used to my pressure. They're used to just one person's pressure. When you step in there and put two people's pressure, now we've got to figure out how to change that pressure. There, that's just right. So you can see the cattle are acting a little bit differently just because there's a different pressure. Now here, what I've got to do, I know there's some pressure over on this side. I'm going to try to keep these calves walking right straight on. So instead of turning them back here, I'm going to try to get them to come straight. Good. So now maybe you guys will have to transition to the front. There you go, and I'll bring them to you. We had to change our plan. I was going to take the cattle, but they came over in this corner. So now I'll just send them on up, and we'll send them out of this corner, and we'll go right to the water. So we want them to walk to the water. We can't drive them to the water. All we can do is direct them to the water. when you buy calves or wean calves or bring them from somewhere else, I feel like the most important thing to do is show them where that water is. Now there's a lot of stockmanship skills that you can apply to these cattle while you're taking them to water to get them to trusting you and learning to take your pressure as you go, so that by getting them on water and feed, you're creating a gain situation or a calming situation, and you're teaching the cattle to work. So as they kind of trot forward there, if they want to go to feed, that's fine. We'll just step around, and if they want to go to water, as they come to water, they're going to step way out wide. And we'll just step out wide and we'll just let them drift themselves to the water tank. And right behind them, they're going to be looking at me and not even think about the water. So right here, I'm going to start sending these cattle and letting them not moving. I'm just going to ask them to drift toward the feeder.
Tarwater Farm and Home has been family owned and operated since its beginning in 1978. What you need for farm and agriculture, lawn and garden, clothing and footwear, and so much more. You'll be surprised at what you'll find in this huge store. They have what you need and lots of it. So come take a look. You'll discover that customer service is first and foremost. Always has been with the Tarwaters. Tarwater Farm and Home, 4107 North Topeka Boulevard.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
Grain sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. Over the years, sorghum has been either exported, used in animal feed domestically, or for other industrial uses. Recently, its use in the ethanol market has seen tremendous growth, with 30% of domestic sorghum typically going to ethanol production. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org. This segment brought to you by Kansas Corn. Learn more at kscorn.com.
I get a lot of questions about how I teach my horses to ground tie. First and foremost, I want you to realize this is not something you should start working on when your horse is fresh. This is always something I work on at the end of a lesson. And actually, it ties right into my groundwork that I do with my horses. When I put my rein down, it's no different than if this horse was tied to a tree or tied to a post or tied to the fence. He is tied to that ground right there, and he should stay there. I believe that he should always stay there. So as I start introducing a ground tie on a young horse, I actually set the head first. I just hold here till that head drops a little bit, then I set it, and then when I go to walk away, I just walk away like it's no big deal, and I try to leave him there. The other thing that I also try to make sure is there's not a bunch of beautiful green lushy grass sitting around here, or a hay bale right here, or a whole lot of distractions as I'm starting to try to build this connection to this horse to get him to stay here when I ask him to. Another important tool can be that you actually hobble your horse and get them used to being able to just stand and do nothing when you're asking them to do that. So when I come back to him, I rub on him a little bit. We'll add a little bit of energy here. I'll lope him around. I'll step off of him, and then I'll ask him to ground tie, and we'll just kind of start working from there. So I'm just going to ask this horse to move off here. Add a little life in his feet. I'm going to ride up here, sit down, quit riding, step off of him. I'm going to set that head. There we go. And I'm going to leave him. Now, say he steps forward just a little bit like that. I'm going to give my horse the benefit of the doubt right there. I'm not going to run back to him right then. I'm not going to say, whoa. I'm not going to do a bunch of the things that you see a lot of people do when they ask for a horse to ground tie. I'm going to wait and make sure to see if my horse was working on his balance point at that point. So you can see that Buster's standing really good. You can also see Mojo in the picture, and he's standing here ground tied. First and foremost, let's make sure that we're rewarding these horses and rubbing on them and letting them know that that's exactly what we wanted them to do. It's a really good job. Now, if I'd walked in the pen today and I was going to start working on a ground tie, I would have went and rode him, gave him his lesson, and then came back and worked on the ground tie. I would not start a ground tie when the horse is cold.
KFRM is one of the largest farm radio stations in the nation, dedicated to informing and entertaining rural listeners from northern Oklahoma to southwestern Nebraska. You can catch KFRM in many ways, of course, 550 on the AM dial, streaming at kfrm.com, or on your smartphone by going to the TuneIn Radio app, or on Ag AM in Kansas on Tuesdays and Facebook every day of the week. KFRM, tune us in. You'll be glad you did.
We do business with Blueville because of the quality of their work. It is excellent quality, and because they make a commitment to their customers.
We enjoy the benefits of hiring a good company to help us maintain this home.
We will always do business with Blueville. We have for many, many years, and there's no reason for us to look for any other service.
What if U.S. soybean meal were more than a commodity? If seed companies and the soybean checkoff built a better variety? That future is here. The time is now. To meet end-user demands, the soybean checkoff is investing in the compositional quality of soybeans, including meal. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
I'm Sarah, and this is my husband, Travis. We both grew up working on family ranches, me in Northern California and Travis in Kansas. We met in college, got married, and took corporate jobs in the beef industry. But soon we realized we missed the production side of the industry. So we made the daring move to start our own cattle business in southeast Kansas, while also starting our family. Watch our story and the stories of other young Kansas food producers at kansaslivingmagazine.com/meetafarmer.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
For growing finishing pigs, lysine requirements are extremely important. That's why we've been looking at research evaluating lysine requirements for finishing pigs under commercial barn environments. Basically, what we've recommended in the past is to feed several diets for short periods of time, what we call phase feeding. Basically, what our results showed us was that we can cut down on the number of phases that we feed finishing pigs and still have awfully good performance. We'd generally recommend 4 to 3 phases from 50 pounds on to 280 to 290 pounds, and we compared feeding 4 diets in that sequence to just feeding 2 diets. And basically we found similar income over feed cost or profitability using either the 4 or 2 phase program. But what the important ramifications were and findings of that particular study is that our lysine requirements that we've been typically recommending for finishing pigs are a little bit too low than what we have for pigs today. As pigs have become leaner and grow faster and more efficiently, their protein or lysine needs have increased correspondingly. And so in the past, where we've fed lysine levels from approximately 1% down to 0.68% digestible lysine, we're seeing requirements as high as 1.1 to about 0.75% digestible lysine. Just a little bit higher than what we've been feeding in the past, but it has important ramifications on profitability for the pork producer. And if we look at income over feed cost, feeding the new requirements versus the older requirements, we're generally seeing about a 50 to 75% return per pig profitability. What the key findings of the study were that we need to be evaluating lysine requirements for finishing pigs on an on-farm basis with your genetics and your environments, and that generally these requirements are a little bit higher than what we've been evaluating before.
And so again, depending upon the size of the farm, we believe this has pretty significant economic findings.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.